Welcome to the final part. We are now finishing the spiritual laws. I remember last time we talked about the issue of where your head is lying, it will determine what you receive. And I also said dry places are the habitation of the demonic world. So today we are just picking it up from there. Remember I'd spoken about how Jacob sleeping on a stone, and also now I finished it with Jesus who was sleeping on a cushion. So today, I want to pick it up from there and say, let us continue this character, Jacob. We are on spiritual laws. Number 3. So if you are writing, please write this. Number 3, I hope you are ready. When you shortchange the process, or rather when you try to shortchange the process will shortchange you. I will repeat that. When you try to shortchange the process will shortchange you. What do I mean? There are people who tried to con God. They tried to trick God. And remember, I've told you we are picking up with that story of Jacob. Now we are not looking at him sleeping on a stone. Now we are looking at him trying to shortchange God. Jacob, the name meant trickster. The problem with being very good at what you do, maybe like for example, if you are very good at lying, the problem is eventually you will lie to yourself. And you will imagine that you can even lie to God. That is what happened to Jacob. He became such a good trickster that he said, even God, I can shortchange the process. So when Esau, or Esau, if you prefer, when Esau was out hunting to bring his father Isaac the soup that he wanted, Jacob did not go out to hunt. They just went with the mother, Rebecca, prepared a meal from inside the father's compound, and they brought to Isaac. And Isaac ate, and you know the story, he blessed Jacob. Then Jacob thought, I'm a very good trickster. I have gotten away with it, nothing will happen. So he got the blessing and he left. Now he's in the house of Laban. And he's about to be served the same medicine he's serving others. So Laban, of course, tells him, okay, if you want our daughter, my daughter, there's no problem. You work for me 7 years. I give you Rachel. And Jacob is in love. So he works, and the Bible says that the 7 years just seem like a few days to him. And then he finishes. And the night comes and is given Leah instead of Rachel. But he doesn't notice. He sleeps with her, and then in the morning, he's like, okay, what happened here? This is not the woman I wanted. And so, still on the spiritual laws, let me read for you something I wrote here. Jacob didn't know what he was sleeping with because he married at night during darkness. I'll repeat that. Jacob didn't know what he was sleeping with because he married at night during darkness. This is what I want to explain. There are people, you see, I've said Jacob didn't know what he was sleeping with because he married at night during darkness. There are people who married during darkness. In other words, they married before they knew the light. And others, even though they knew the light, they were born again, but they married without inquiring from God. So they married out of darkness like Jacob. And now when their eyes were opened, when the light of God came, they said, who is this woman? And that's why we are having so many cases of gender-based violence. I'm telling you, it is sad. Nowadays, when you put on the TV, you just cringe. You are afraid the next thing you will hear is a man killed his wife, killed the children, and committed suicide. You go to another station, you hear a woman took a gun, shoot the husband, she shoots the... You wonder, what is happening to people? Most times it is because people married at a time of darkness. They did not even inquire. And you see, there's somebody who said there is nothing as useless as trying to advise a young lady who's in love. And I agree. It is also a young man. It's not only for ladies. Though for ladies, the impact is more. But there is nothing as useless as trying to advise two young, foolish people who are in love. Because you try to show them the red flags, they call you hater. You are hating on us. You are just jealous. You wonder, what are you jealous of? their love, which is 2 weeks old. So people don't want to marry in light. People want to come and take a girl. And then I sneak her into my house. After all, I'm Pastor Kelvin, nobody will know. And then I think after marrying in darkness like that I will have a successful life, a successful marriage. It didn't happen for Jacob. Whenever darkness is involved in how you started, be sure you are headed for either a divorce or a very painful marriage. There was a lady who was giving us a testimony at a pastor's conference. And she was saying, when she brought her husband home, at that time the man was not even the husband, he was just a boyfriend. When she brought the boyfriend home, the parents looked at the boyfriend, and then they called their daughter aside and they asked her, is this man born again? Because the way we saw him, the man had a drinking problem. And the daughter was saying, oh, mom, dad, don't worry. He's a social drinker. You know, he's not an alcoholic. He's just a social drinker. He just drinks when there are events over the holidays, but apart from that, he's a really nice man. And so she could not hear any advice. And so they got married. Now, this lady was giving us a testimony in this pastor's conference. She was telling us, for the next 20 years, I just want that to sink in. For the next 20 years, she kept praying for her husband to get born again. Now, eventually, the husband got born again. But this is what she said, and these are the words I'll never forget. She just said, was it worth it for me to be crying every day, praying for this man for 20 years, when I just had the option of taking somebody who was already born again, who was just God's plan for me? Because at that time, she did not want God's plan. Because she knew God would tell her, get somebody who's like this and that. You see, let me tell you the truth. Most times we do not ask God for his opinion because we already know. You know, I know if I ask God whether I should bring a girl to my house and we do a come we stay. You see, I already know God will automatically say no. So sometimes the reason people don't ask is simply because they know the answer. There's a gospel artist in Kenya who sang, wanajua ni kulenga tu. I'm telling you, people know. People know the truth. And they know, even those drunkards who are in the bar, those people are some of the best Bible students, I'm telling you. They know the Bible. It is just that they have hardened their hearts. Even some of you are watching me. Some are watching me from the houses of their boyfriend. You are putting on the boyfriend's t-shirt. You are there with just a panty, and you know very well what you are doing is wrong. But the reason you don't want to hear the truth is because you know that you will have to do the right thing. I'll tell you this. Why do you even think we have atheists? Atheists who say there is no God, I don't believe there is a God. Let me tell you, that is hypocrisy of the highest level. Most atheists just say that because they know that if they acknowledge there is a God, they will have to live right. And so because they don't want to be accountable, because they don't want to be asked questions. You know, if I say I'm an atheist, if you see me having sex, you'll not ask me any questions. Because if you tell me sex is sin, I'll tell you there is no God. So the reason people take that false cover, that I'm an atheist or that I don't believe in witchcraft, I don't believe in those spiritual stuff, it is because they know if they believe, they will have to be accountable. So people are hypocrites. They are just cowards. You are afraid. Just own up and say, I'm afraid. I'm afraid, Pastor Kelvin, if I believe this business you're talking about of deliverance, it means I will have to pray, I will have to fast, I will have to break the yokes in our family. So people choose to say, we are under grace. Jesus Christ finished it at the cross. My friend, if Jesus Christ finished it all at the cross, why does your family still look like that? Why are you people not seeing any victory? There are people in your family, there is no testimony you can give us, not even one. And you are busy opening your mouth saying we are under grace. Why isn't the grace working for you? Why isn't it working for you? I know there are waiting periods. I know that. I know there's a time we are waiting for God. But my friend, it cannot be year in, year out. You are telling us there is nothing God is doing in your life, that I'm just waiting. Till when will you wait? What if God is waiting on you? That is the challenge you have nowadays. Many people are waiting on God, and God is waiting on them. So who will move? Who will help who? Because you're waiting on God, God is waiting on you. Atheists, as I've said, are just cowards who know if they acknowledge there is a God, they will have to be accountable for their action. So don't be a Christian who's an atheist in certain things, because you don't want to believe those things, because you know if you believe, you'll have to be accountable. So that's why you don't even ask, because you know very well you are going around with a married man. And so you are hiding it, because you know what you are doing. Why do you think in clubs and in pubs, they put on very dim lights? You will hardly see bright light like these ones that are here in the studio. You know, in the studio, they've put on bright light because you're supposed to see me, right? I'm bringing you a message, and you people are interested in seeing who is this person. But if you go to the clubs, if you go to the brothels, it is very dark, very dim, because people know what they are doing, and so they are hiding. If you are proud, why can't you then bring these bright lights? Why can't you come here on TV and then we record you drinking alcohol and dancing with women? It is because people know what they are doing is wrong. And so because we have some people who go there, who are even pastors, who are choir members, and they should not be seen, they are told to dim the lights. So if you go to a club, you will find a very blue light, a very red light, but you will hardly ever see white bright light. In a brothel, never. Why? Because people are guilty, they know what they are doing, and so they are hiding. Because sin thrives in darkness. What we are doing here is light. That's why there is light in the studio. We are not hiding. Why have they not put... You want to tell me you think JTV cannot afford those red lights? You think they cannot afford the blue lights? They can. But why have they put the bright light? Because we are bringing you the message of the light, so you need to see me. We are not hiding anything here. But if it was a brothel, you would not even be seeing my face. Because the light would be black, I am also black, so anyway. We need to know that Jacob married in darkness. And that was the beginning of the problem. Spiritual dynamics. These spiritual laws, I'm telling you, number 3. I've said when you try to shortchange the process will shortchange you. Don't forget that. When you try to shortchange the process will shortchange you. Jacob tried to shortchange the process. It shortchanged him. Now he's waking up, he's like, excuse me, this is not my wife. Where is my wife? And I've read for you, I said Jacob didn't know what he was sleeping with because he married at night during darkness. Marry in a time of light. Marry when you have prayed. Marry when God has shown you. Don't marry in darkness and then start coming to tell us, oh, I made a mistake. Pastor, I have a question. Can God forgive you if you divorce? Can God accept you? No, just marry in light to avoid all those things. Okay. We continue. Now, I want us to look now at Joseph. Because we have looked at Jacob for long. I want us to rush to Joseph. Because remember, we are talking about spiritual laws. And I've said when you try to shortchange the process will shortchange you. Now, let me read for you also something I wrote here. Joseph had not gone through process, so he had to restart it. I'll explain that. Joseph had not gone through process, so he had to be restarted. You know the way you restart your phone? It was because Joseph had not gone through process. Let me explain that. You see, Joseph got the dream before the process, which is very dangerous. Moses got the dream after the process, which is very healthy and successful. I'll repeat that. Joseph got the dream before he went through any process. So what happened? He became a spoiled brat. He started calling people in the family, hey, kujeni hapa, come here all of you. I want you to sit down and listen to my dream. Joseph had no manners. He was even summoning his own parents. Now let me tell you, the moment you see a son or a daughter start to summon their parents, please run away. That's a red flag. I don't care if they speak in tongues. Once I see how you address spiritual authorities, once I see how you address your mom and your dad, I really don't care how anointed you are. You already have an X mark. I am telling you the truth. I have seen how people sometimes even address me on social media. People who are younger than me. And I'm wondering, okay, first of all, this person does not even fear the title that this guy is a pastor. So let's even put that aside. Number two, they don't even fear the age factor. You know, at least if you will not respect a person's name or office, respect the fact that they are older than you. So some people, I get shocked when I see they are talking about their pastors, when first of all your pastor is older than you in terms of age. So even if you remove the issue of pastoral and apostle, first of all, by virtue of age, there's a way you're supposed to address your elders. But there are people who don't even care. They don't even fear. They talk and they say anything. So I'm giving you a secret today. No matter how anointed I am, check how I address people who are older than me. Check how I address spiritual authorities. Because once I see somebody who likes confronting spiritual authorities, that one is a red alert for me. I will tell you the truth. You can be anointed, but the moment you start to approach and confront these people, if I have something against my father, what is the best way? I look for somebody like my uncle or somebody who is the age bracket of my father, and I can address it through them. That is a sign of honor. If I have an issue with the president of the nation of Kenya, I will look for somebody who is almost at his capacity, at his level, to address him. I do not just stand up as Pastor Kelvin and start to say, you president, you open up the nation, toa curfew, remove, we will, and then you start even giving threats. We shall pray until you die. My friend, that is not how God works. That is not the gospel. Because when Daniel was in prison, when they were in captivity, and when Joseph was in prison, I want you to remember this example. Daniel, very much anointed, but it was the king that was receiving the dreams. Daniel was coming to interpret them. Joseph, no matter how anointed, but it was the king that was receiving the dream. Joseph was only coming to interpret. Joseph and Daniel, if they were so anointed, why weren't they receiving the dreams themselves? I want you to ask yourself that question. It is because the order of God can never be mocked. No matter how anointed these two were, God still respects the king. That's the authority of the land. So I cannot say I'm Pastor Kelvin. I do not answer to anyone. The president is the one to come to me. No. Even if I'm anointed, God will give the dream to the president. I will be called to go and interpret. Unless I'm the president of Kenya, that's the time I'll be given the dream for Kenya. But my friend, if you are not the president of Kenya, I don't care if you have bishop, doctor, apostle, prophet, reverend, I don't care. You must respect the authority. Because God will not give you the dream. You are not the president. Yes, you are the bishop, but please, you are not the president. So address him with the respect he deserves. Because even Nathan, as anointed as he was, when he came to King David, he did not tell King David, you immoral king. Uko na kichwa mbaya. You know, Nathan came in a respectful way. And he told David, I have a small story. There was a man who had many sheep, he had many lambs. Then there was this one who only had one. But this rich man came and took that poor man's lamb. And David was furious and he was saying, show me that man. I want to kill him. Then Nathan told David, excuse me, king, that man is you. You are the one who went and took Bathsheba, someone's wife. And David was broken and he said, wow. You see, because of the way Nathan came. But if it was some of us, hey, we would have called King David. Hello, I have a word from the Lord for you. You shall die, you wicked man. No wonder God is not using you to speak to kings, because you lack the etiquette. You lack the respect. You speak to the president as though you're speaking to your age mate. You might even be older than the president, but you're not. Remember, I've said we can be age mates, but we can never be grace mates. You can be the age of the president, you can even be older than him, but you will never carry the grace that he has to occupy that office. So check how people talk to their elders. And Joseph had not gone through this process. And so he was summoning everyone, including the mom and the dad, telling them, Kujeni hapa, come here. And he was telling them the dream. I saw all of you bow to me. I saw the stars bow to me. And he was telling them, I saw even the moon and the sun, which represented the mother and the father. And so the dad asked Joseph, do you want to say that even your mother and I will bow to you? You see, this is the problem of getting dreams before process. You end up having too much zeal. You have too much emotions. You have too much psyche until you lose respect for people because you're now just saying everything. And so God saw, hey, this young man, if we do not put a speed governor, he's going to mess it up. And so God says, this man needs to be sold. So, Joseph had to restart the process. And I want to read for you something here. I want to show you something. If you're writing, this is a good point. Number one, Joseph had to be sold to the merchants to learn trade. That is the first thing you need to note. That Joseph had to be sold to the merchants to learn trade. Why wasn't Joseph sold to the farmers? Because God didn't need Joseph to learn farming. God needed Joseph to learn trade. Because where he was going in Egypt, there was a time he was going to need this skill. Remember, Joseph ended up being the prime minister. And he's the one who helped Egypt. Because he told them, you shall have 7 years of plenty and 7 years of drought. So I will need you to be stocking things during those 7 years of plenty. So that is why God started putting those skills early. He knew where you are going, Joseph. You will need to be the minister of finance. So I'm going to make you to be taken by merchants, people who deal in trade. Some of you do not understand why God allowed you to be raised by your aunt. Your aunt was an accountant. Some of you are raised by your uncle. Your uncle who was a medical doctor. Because God was training you from an early age that you will come to be a doctor in future. So I needed you to have a background. See how doctors behave. Some of you, you wonder why God allowed your parents to die. And you are brought up with somebody who is in business. Because God wanted you to learn the art of business early. And so I've said, number one, Joseph was sold to the merchants because he needed to learn trade. Number two, Joseph then went to Potiphar's house. After the merchant sold him, he went and started working in Potiphar's house. And so I've written here number two, he went to Potiphar's house to learn command and coming under authority. Hey. God knew that Joseph was one day going to be a prime minister. Yet he has no background training of giving command and authority. So what does God do? He allows Joseph to go in the house of the person who is in command. So Joseph, you can imagine, when he's cleaning the table, he's watching how Potiphar is calling people. Hey you, come here. Hey you, remove that. What is Joseph learning? Command. And at the same time, Joseph is being told, hey you, come here, young man. Wipe this table. What is Joseph being told? Submission. Because I will say this, and if you are writing, write this. Every great leader was once a great follower. I'll repeat that. Every great leader was once a great follower. You cannot come into authority if you have never learned to come under submission. That is just spiritual laws. That is dynamics. You cannot come into spiritual authority if you have never learned to come into spiritual submission. So, number one, sold to the merchants to learn trade. Number two, sold to Potiphar's house to learn command and authority. Number three, he was sent to prison, to learn the Egyptians and their mindset. Imagine he has dealt with the merchants, he has known trade. Now Joseph is trained there. Anajua kuhesabu pesa na kurudisha change. Now he's in Potiphar's house. He has learned command. He now knows what is authority. And then the case with Potiphar's wife happens. He's accused. He's thrown into prison. What is God teaching him there? Brokenness. How to understand people's feelings when they are down there. You see, now Joseph was broken because he was accused of something he had not done. So now he was together with the cupbearer. He was together with the baker. What was God teaching him? To feel the pain of the Egyptians, to understand their predicaments. God was teaching Joseph, I want you to know how it feels to be down there, so that by the time you are prime minister, you will understand how to help people. And that's why by the time God was done with Joseph, Joseph was ready. Because he got the dream, but he had not gone through process. So he had to go through process. But you see, somebody like Moses went through the process. And then after 40 years, the dream came, which was the burning bush. And that's why the Bible says Moses, in the entire Bible, was the meekest man that walked on earth. Why was Moses the most humble person? It was because his process was the longest. After 40 years, I'm telling you, even if you have no option, you will just have to be humble. Even if you don't like it. God cannot break you for 40 years and you still have pride. Moses was the meekest. But Joseph had not gone through process. So I can say Joseph was the opposite of Moses. Because Joseph was the proudest, calling even the parents. Hey, kujeni hapa mkae chini. Come here, I want to tell you something. Mom and dad, you will bow to me. Pride, spoiled brat. And some people don't understand why things have not been working for them. It is because of the way you address your spiritual authorities. It is because of the way you address your elders. You talk to them like you're talking to anyone. Even if you see something wrong with a spiritual authority. The way I've said, I'd rather you get somebody who is a close friend. If you see something wrong with a bishop, get another bishop, a person of sound mind. Let them restore the person to faith. But no, not in Kenya. Kenyans, they know everything. They will tell you the truth on your face. They will abuse you. They don't even care. They don't even fear anything. And then their children end up paying for their carelessness. Your children will pay because of your carelessness in just touching people anyhowly. I will finish by saying this. David, as anointed as he was, and as great as he was, when King Saul was behaving in an unworthy manner, David said, I will not touch him. He even went and cut a piece of cloth to show King Saul, I would have killed you if I wanted. However, I cannot touch the Lord's anointed. I want you to see something. This was at a time when the Spirit of God had already left King Saul, and it had entered David. But David still did not have the pride of saying, I am now the anointed one. I can abuse the king the way I want. Inasmuch as the presence of God had left King Saul, David still had the soberness to know, you do not touch a vessel that once hosted the glory of God. Let me tell you, it doesn't matter if a pastor has fallen. It doesn't matter if a bishop has fallen. Somebody who once carried the grace of God, behave like David. Just say, that one, let me not touch. Because they have reached levels you never reached. I know they are fallen and I'm not trying to defend them. But my question is, even if the person has fallen today, if we rewind time back and we put the two of you together, can you accomplish what they accomplished before they fell? Can you do what they did? We like judging. We say, oh, how can a pastor who has a church of 20,000 members, how can he do such an evil thing? Let me ask you a question. You who is judging, have you ever built a church that is 20,000 members before you talk? So before you judge that pastor, can you also go and open a church? Then bring 10,000 members and then now get the moral authority to speak. But you have never even done anything successful in life and you're busy saying, how can that bishop do that? First, go and do the things that bishop did. Then come back and lecture us. David knew that inasmuch as King Saul has fallen, there are things King Saul has done I have not yet done as David. Inasmuch as we are saying our government is bad, there are things the president has done. I, as Pastor Kelvin, I am nowhere near them. So I will be careful I do not open my mouth and start saying President Uhuru has done this and has done that. Because the question is, what have I done as Pastor Kelvin that gives me the moral authority to criticize the president of the nation of Kenya? What have you done? So the Lord bless you. We'll meet again by the grace of God. Go and apply these spiritual laws and the Lord will bless you. Till next time, bye. Get interacting with me on Facebook, Kelvin Obonyo. Let's get blessed together. Bye. Have a wonderful time. God bless you.